Okay, college trig folks, we are going to open up to this section where we are working on now half angle formulas. And the half angle formulas are located on this sheet. So just note that you already know all this. We're not doing that. Area of a triangle we covered, law of cosines we covered, law of sines we've covered, Pythagorean identities we've covered. Sum and difference formulas we did, even in odd identities, that was the first one we did. We've actually proved cofunction identities, so you didn't even know it. Double angle formulas, we've already done double angle. We did the power reducing. We skipped area of a sector and arc, but we are looking at, we did a conversion of degrees of radians. So we've only got a little bit left. Sum to product, some it looks bad, but it's no big deal. We're going to focus on this today. And once we're done with that, we'll be good to go. So let's write it out here. We've got half angle formulas. Sine, so sine of an angle divided by 2 is equal to plus or minus the square root of 1 minus the cosine of the angle divided by 2. And cosine of an angle divided by 2 is equal to plus or minus the square root of 1 plus cosine of an angle divided by 2. And the tangent of an angle divided by 2, so I'm trying to go off memory here, I don't want to mess it up. So we're going to check just to make sure. You can see that the sine is the 1 minus the cosine and then 1 plus the cosine. So we got 1 minus cosine over sine, and then it flips. So we're going with 1 minus cosine of an angle over sine of an angle. Or you could rewrite it as sine of an angle over 1 plus cosine of an angle. So the idea is that there are two formulas. This is formula 1, or you could choose formula 2. I like to use formula 1. I think formula 1 is better. We're going to add just one section to this piece, and then we'll go from there. So cosine of 15 degrees. Find the exact value when using a half angle formula. So the cosine of 15 divided by 2, cosine of 15, 15 is half of something that we know. So I'm going to rewrite that as a cosine of 30 over 2. Notice that 30 is the angle I'm dividing in half, and that's what makes 13. I like to use that because it fits in the formula. You see, the formula is cosine of an angle divided by 2 is equal to plus or minus the root of 1 plus the cosine of the angle all over 2. So in this situation, we put 30 in for a. So we have the cosine of 30 over 2, which is 15. It's equal to plus or minus the square root of 1 plus the cosine of 30 divided by 2. So that's what we want to simplify. Well, we start with the plus or minus. In order to decide plus or minus, we just have to look at 15 degrees. Is that going to be in the first quadrant, second quadrant, third quadrant, fourth quadrant? The answer is that it's the first quadrant. And because it's in the first quadrant, cosine is going to be positive. So we just make it positive square root of. And we have 1 plus. Now we need the cosine of 30. So I'm going to go ahead and look at my 30-degree angle, which is right there. We know that coordinate is the root of 3 over 2 and 1/2. So you got really good at doing that. So the cosine is the root of 3 over 2. All over 2. So this is what I need to simplify. And we'll show you what this simplifying looks like. It's be slightly new for you, but in this situation, we've got, we're going to write it as the root of 2 over 2 plus the root of 3 over 2 all over 2. So that way I have common denominators. So now I have the square root of 2 plus the root of 3 over 2 all over 2 over 1. Now I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal times 1 over 2. So we get the square root of 2 plus the root of 3 all over 4. Now, you can't take the square root of the top, so you just got to leave it 2 plus the root of 3. But you can take the square root of the bottom, and the square root of 4 is 2. And that's your result. The root of 2 plus the root of 3 all over 2. Some people might kind of be upset with that because you have a square root inside of a square root, but that's just a complex radical. And you are allowed to leave complex radicals, so we just leave it like that. All right, sine of pi over 8. So first of all, I'm going to convert pi over 8 to degrees. So I'm going to multiply by 180 and divide by pi. When you do that, you get the sine of 22.5 degrees. So the question is sine of 22.5. So what angle do you divide in half to get 22.5? Well, that's equal to the sine of 45 divided by 2. So what we do is we do plus or minus the root of, now it's 1 minus the cosine of 45 all over 2. That's our formula. Decide if it's positive or negative. Well, 22.5, that puts me in the first quadrant, so I know it's positive. So I've got plus. Square root of 1 minus the cosine of 45. We practiced that enough. Hopefully you know it's a root of 2 over 2. And that's all over 2. Change that to 2 over 2 minus the root of 2 over 2. All over 2. That's going to be the square root of 2 minus the root of 2 over 2 over 2 over 1. Multiply by the reciprocal, and I get the square root of 2 minus the root of 2 all over 4. Square root of the top, I get the root of 2 minus the root of 2. On the bottom, square root of 4 is just going to give me 2. And that's what you have. We're going to do one more. We are going to do tangent because we haven't done a tangent example. Okay? And we are going to do the tangent of, let's try 112.5 degrees. Okay? So the tangent of 112.5 degrees, if you were to double that, you get the tangent of 225 degrees. So 225 over 2. The formula for tangent is, as you look back at it, I like to use the first one, 1 minus cosine of A over sine of A. I'm going to check this one just to make sure I've got it right. 1 minus the cosine of A over the sine of A. So 1 minus the cosine of A over the sine of A. And so what I get is I've got to find 1 minus the cosine of 225 divided by the sine of 225. 225 degrees, right there, makes a 45-degree angle. That's going to be negative root of 2 over 2 and negative root of 2 over 2. So I have 1 minus negative root of 2 over 2, so plus root of 2 over 2, divided by negative root of 2 over 2. Change my 1 to 2 over 2. We're at 2 plus the root of 2 over 2, divided by negative root of 2 over 2. Multiplied by the reciprocal, 2 over the negative root of 2. 2's cancel. And I get 2 plus the root of 2 over negative root of 2. I've got to get rid of the square root of 2 in the denominator, so I multiply the top by the root of 2, and I multiply the bottom by the root of 2. Lots of 2's, I get it. So you got 2 roots of 2 plus 2 over negative 2. Now divide by negative 2, we get negative root of 2 minus 1. And hopefully you understand your answer is definitely negative. And if you look at the beginning, 112.5 degrees, that's right about here, second quadrant. and tangent is negative in the second quadrant. So looks like we're good. So there's an example of sine, there's an example of cosine, there's an example of tangent. Short video. Enjoy it. Have a good one.